Hello, my name is Dr. Bethany Studebaker, and I serve as Superintendent Ibarra's Director of Certification and Professional Standards. I appreciate the opportunity to help unpack some of the updates and changes to Idaho Code and Rule that have occurred as a result of the 2022 legislative session. I would like to begin by taking a look at IDAPA 08-0202, Rules Governing Uniformity. As a quick overview, in the spring of 2020, Legislature directed the State Department of Education and the Office of the State Board to revise the teacher preparation standards. At the request of the superintendent, in early May of that same year, an invitation to serve on an educator standards working group was sent out to multiple education stakeholders, including public and non-public educator preparation programs, Professional Standards Commission members of both the House and Senate Education Committees, the Office of the State Board, as well as the State Board of Education, Career Technical Education, and the Idaho Indian Education Committee. From that invitation, a broad-based review committee of over 30 individuals was formed. The task at hand for this working group was 1. To address the Idaho standards for initial certification of professional school personnel in an effort to reduce the regulatory burden for educator preparation programs while maintaining the rigor and standards for beginning educators, and to address certificate and endorsement rules in IDAPA 08-0202 in order to increase clarity and provide options for endorsements. Over an 18-month timeframe, the Educator Standards Working Group convened to review the hundreds of pages found within IDAPA 08-0202 and the incorporation by reference document. And as a result, significant recommendations were made to the Professional Standards Commission and ultimately brought forward to the Board of Education. So let's fast forward a bit and review. First, the Idaho Standards for Initial Certification of Professional School Personnel. In the fall of 2021, the State Board of Education did not render a decision on the initial standards, and therefore, the approval date on the standards was to revert back to the document adopted in June of 2019. During the session, House Bill 716 removed the initial standards from the incorporation by reference section of IDAPA and placed this document in Idaho Code 33114A. The adopted document takes into consideration all of the recommendations that were brought forward by the working group. To highlight some of the big takeaways as well as changes to the initial standards, this almost 300-page document is now a 16-page concise document. The individual indicators have shifted out of the regulatory document, including all foundation and enhancement standards. The indicators did not go away, but rather will be moved to a guidance document to assist the educator preparation programs. Also, 3 state-specific core standards have been added: American Indian Tribes in Idaho, Code of Ethics for Idaho Professional Educators, and Digital Technology and Online Learning. Additionally, the comprehensive literacy standards were revised to align with the Idaho Comprehensive Literacy Plan that was approved by the State Board of Education in December of 2020. And Standard 5 was added. This standard addresses the support of students with reading and writing difficulties, specifically in regards to dyslexia. Moreover, state-specific standards for special education programs were added to the initial standards. These standards supplement the core teaching standards. And lastly, pupil service staff programs, all of which are nationally accredited, had standards and indicators that closely mirror the national accreditation standards. To demonstrate their candidates meet national accredited program standards, an EPP can now provide their national accreditation documents to the state review team. As mentioned previously, the second task of the Educator Standards Work Group was to address certificate and endorsement rules. Updates and changes to IDAPA 08-0202 included a reduction of duplicated and incorrect language. An overall cleanup of the full rule was done. Additionally, pupil service staff certification is now optional for speech-language pathologists and audiologists. Similar to OTs and PTs, these individuals can now be placed on a classified or certificated route. The 6-credit requirement for School Nurse Option 2 has been removed from rule as well. Additional updates to certification and endorsement rules include alternative authorization certificates are now valid for 3 years rather than a 1-year certificate with the option to renew twice. Do note that the alternative authorization teacher to new endorsements are still only valid for 1 year. These endorsements can still be renewed for 2 additional years. And finally, all instructional certificate endorsements have been removed from rule to later be placed in board policy. A request has been made to bring this change back in the next cycle of rulemaking process. In addition to the IDAPA changes, the 2022 legislative session brought a handful of modifications to the current practices and procedures in the Certification and Professional Standards Department. House Bill 654 provides a change to the language in Idaho Code 33-1212 specific to the requirements for school counselor endorsements. In addition to certified social workers, licensed professional counselors and licensed clinical professional counselors now meet the requirements for school counselor. These individuals are eligible to apply for a standard pupil service staff certificate. Senate Bill 1291, known as the Charter-Specific Teacher Certification Bill, allows for school-specific charter teaching certificates. These certificates will only be valid for teachers teaching in a public charter school. Unlike the Charter Administrator Certificate, the Charter-Specific Teacher Certificate can be transferred to another public charter school. These certificates are not transferable to a traditional public school. A few details about the new Charter-Specific Teacher Certification. These are standard instructional certificates valid for 5 years that can be renewed. 6 credits are still required for renewal. However, the charter school may substitute its own education and professional development requirements. To be eligible for a charter school-specific teaching certification, individuals must hold a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution and have a recommendation from an individual charter school. Per Idaho Code, industry experience for teaching CTE is still a requirement. Additionally, federal law requires all special education assignments to be held by individuals certified pursuant to the requirements of the traditional public school districts. The department is currently creating the Charter Teacher Certification application. This application with guidance documents will be available no later than May 15th. House Bill 731 provides dyslexia-specific professional development requirements for educators. As part of this bill, Idaho Code 33-1811 calls out a 2025-2026 recertification requirement of 1 or more credits of professional development identifying characteristics of dyslexia and understanding the pedagogy for instructing students with dyslexia and providing dyslexia-focused interventions. The dyslexia recertification credit requirement applies to all Idaho teachers and/or administrators with the following certificates or endorsements. All subjects K-8, Exceptional Child Generalist Endorsement, Blended Early Childhood Special Education Endorsement, an Administrator Certificate for those individuals serving students in K through 5, and a School Counselor Certificate for those individuals serving students in K through 5. The State Department of Education is currently working through the process of how courses will be approved. The department will provide districts with approved course lists soon. And lastly, updates and changes to the professional and advanced professional endorsements. House Bill 656 removed the language from Idaho Code 33-1201A and have not previously held certification in the state of Idaho. This language change allows out-of-state teachers who previously held a certificate in Idaho to use their time teaching out-of-state to qualify for the out-of-state professional endorsement or out-of-state advanced professional endorsement. This specific language change appears to help not penalize those individuals who held a prior certificate in Idaho, left the state to teach elsewhere, and have since returned to a teaching position in Idaho. The department is currently working on guidance documents and new recommendation forms for professional and advanced professional endorsements. These documents should be out to all districts and LEAs no later than May 15th. Do note that the change in Idaho Code related to the requirements for professional and advanced professional endorsements is not retroactive. This concludes the Certification and Professional Standards portion of the Post-Legislative Roadshow. Please reach out with any questions.